All right, today is May 11th, and this is episode 28. And having completed the floor and everything, I'm now moving on to this inner wheel housing on the right side, and gonna attempt to cut that out and replace it. Here we go. All right, here it is. Took about an hour to get that thing cut off. So, got a lot of cleaning up to do. Like mentioned before, this right here, this part here is the flange from this wheelhouse. And so all of that is going to get ground off. And then I'll clean this panel up and then spray the, look how wobbly it is. Doesn't have any support back here. I'll clean this up with the wire brush and so forth, and then spray some rust reformer on that. I've got to get the rest of this panel off because this panel right here is going to be welded in. That's the replacement back corner here. That's going to be welded in. Had to be real careful about where sparks were flying and stuff, obviously, because of the gas situation. I know it's kind of dangerous, but I didn't want to have to drop the tank on this thing, so I was just real careful. And when I got around this area, certainly I was using more my air chisel so I wouldn't create any sparks, which is why it's kind of more tore up over in this area. So I don't know what order I'm going to do this in. I guess I'll grind and put the wheelhouse in place first, and then I'll have to cut this part out and make that piece for it, weld it in, so I have a solid piece here that will attach to that panel there. So, yep, this is going to be a job. I couldn't cut a straight line down the edge like right here, because I'm getting close to this pillar. I had to do it at an angle, so I may or may not cut that completely out anyway, because I don't think it's going to get in the way. I guess if it gets in the way, I'll cut it from this side and get it out of there. But all right, time to go to grinding now. So here we go. All right, I'm just doing a mock-up here to fit this inner fender well in. It's notched right here, so it has to be in that position right there, which puts it just a little bit shy of the end here, which makes room for this panel to sit in there like so. See that or not, but what ends up happening is this has to meet up at the very end there. That's obviously got to line up there, so you can see how much metal I've got to cut and patch weld in here. But there's a complication here, because technically, well, practically even, this here has to slip down to this point here, because this brace here is about flush with the bottom edge here, and the only way to do that is to notch it back here. I'll have to come up and then over and cut that portion out, the distance from the bottom of this to there, so that it'll sit down in. And then I'm also going to have to, I might end up having to redo that waterfall patch there, because I'm going to have to cut this out here to get that to sit down right. And then, you can see that gap there, so that's got to be sitting flat, obviously. So I'm gonna have to look at that and see what needs to be done as well. All right, here we go. Okay, that's notched about right because it's got the bottom edge of it overhanging where it should be, but then it goes up a little bit in the front. So it means I've got to finesse that. That repair I did on the waterfall in combination with that slope right there on the panel, to get, you know, to let it fall down a little bit more and take up the gap that's happening right in there. And along here, I could get a weld, you know, spot welds in through there, but it looks like I'm gonna have to take the flange part that was left behind it off after all. I thought I might be able to actually use it because it was good metal once I ground it down, but in order for that to slide in there, and it looks like I'm gonna have to take it all off, so here we go. All right, I've made another executive decision here. This metal, this is what's left here is the flange from the old panel, and I need to take it off because I got to make a snug fit for that piece to go down in properly and weld up properly. The problem is if I end up grinding that off, I'm afraid the metal that's behind it is not strong enough to weld to. It's not sound enough, I should say. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it a straight line on top here all the way down, and I'm going to weld a strip in with that bend on it for the flange. Weld that back in there. I'm going to probably cut it back about a ½ inch or quarter of an inch anyway, and make a piece to fit in there. And then also, because this turned out kind of funky over here, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it out. Not all of it, but I'm gonna cut it right here, or yeah, somewhere in there. Cut it right here and take that out of there, because now that I have access in here better, I can do a better job fitting this in there. So creates a little bit more work, but it'll be a better solution once it's done. So again, I just want to do it right, and to the best of my ability. So, and then here, I do have to grind that back a little bit more. I'm going to have to replace a portion of this because of that rot right there. So I'll cut this out about right there and down and replace that. Or maybe, I don't know, I talked about fiberglassing that. I could do that too, because I can get to the backside and spray all that with the rust reformer. I might do that. That makes it easier. Over here, I have to make a panel replacement for that. So yeah, I'll probably just fiberglass that right there. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and cut that. And I gotta call a steel supplier, see if they got any 18 gauge metal, because I don't have a piece long enough to go in there yet, or at this point. So, all right, here we go. All right, I'm shifting gears here. I'm gonna cut this part out to get rid of this, and I'm gonna go just above the hole that's there and keep right underneath the lip of that, so I have a guide to weld off of. I was gonna go wider at first, that's why that second line is, but I had to go narrower, as narrow as I could. And I hope that that is straight. I made it, the line, as long as I could using a square down. Actually, I've got a longer square. I'm gonna double check it, but you know, before I cut it. But in any case, I've got to have this flange on the edge of it, because This panel here, this rear panel has to tie into it, as well as the inner wheel housing, because there's a notch in the wheel housing right here that has to go up in here. So that's for an alignment purpose as well. So it's gonna be a little bit tricky, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut this out, get that piece welded in, and then I can register off of that for everything else. So, and then I went ahead and cut out that piece there, because what I'm gonna do, now that I can get access to it, is I'm gonna make a foot on the bottom that will come out on this edge, as well as a ledge on this top side, because this will sit down on top of it, like you can see over there. That one is. Of course, part of that inner wheel housing is gone. I cut it on purpose, but it sat down on top of that. So anyhow, I've got enough sheet metal left to make that part. I'm hoping that I've got enough in this piece right here, because that's all that I've got left, except for some smaller pieces I ordered. But I'm hoping that that's big enough to take care of this right here. I think it is, but just barely. So here we go. All right, here's the piece. Just got done cutting out. So fairly straight line. That was quite difficult too, because this panel is got a lot of flex in it. There's nothing supporting it, or not much anyway. Oh, this is a mess. Anyway, so now I need to use that piece right there and try to get that out of it, as well as a little bit of flange on the edge right there. Gonna have to run all the way down. There we go. All right, I'm gonna end this one here, because I'm waiting for a new panel to arrive. I didn't have enough sheet metal, and I found a panel on Quadratech almost as cheap as it would cost me to get some sheet metal. So I'm gonna do that, and I know that I'm probably gonna run into a similar situation over here, so I went ahead and ordered that one as well. And basically that'll get me this panel from this break point here, actually all the way down to somewhere in here. But since I've already replaced that portion on this side, I'll just cut it, somewhere in here and go straight up, and that'll alleviate all of this mess here, cutting and patch welding these holes, and the fact that I don't have enough sheet metal to do it and would have to order some anyway. Alleviates this, alleviates these holes that the diamond plate was attached to, and I'm probably gonna not get that one though, because I don't think there's anything wrong with this other than this rust here, which I can flap off and then convert it. But this one over here, obviously I had to replace. So I'm kind of at a standstill right now. And so probably what I'll do while I'm waiting for that is I'm gonna try to repair this here, because this is actually, turns out that this metal on the bed, except for that piece right there, is pretty solid. I mean, I'm pulling on it. So I'm gonna fiberglass that right there. And that'll just be a point that I do not weld to. There's plenty of other areas. Like I said, this part slides down in. I'll punch some holes in the thing, and I'll put them in such a way that I'll get like one there, one there, one there, one there, and so forth all the way down. This one's a little bit sketchy too, so I'm gonna fiberglass that, and go with that the way it is. So yeah, that's a wrap for today. That was enough fun for one day. So I'll catch you guys next time.